Red and orange and yellow and green, sky blue, indigo and violet. Hello YouTube! Today I'd like to talk about dismantling the British Union, about why we need to dismantle the national construct of the island union of these four nations, England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales. We need to rejoin the EU, first of all, and we can't do that by consent of one on behalf of four distinct nations, i.e. London ruling over Scotland, Wales and Ireland. It probably goes without saying in this argument, in the context of giving this argument, that we need to either abolish the monarchy or radically reorient its political position, reorientate its political position to be something more, I don't know, historical, cultural, ornamental. I mean, I'm not saying when I say we should abolish the monarchy, I don't mean that we should behead the royal family, but that we need to abolish the system of hereditary autocracy, which is supreme rule based on the fact that you're someone or other's son or daughter, which is childish at best. It's a fairy story, divine providence, and really clumsy and unhelpful, particularly at this point in history when the broadest language community on the planet is now suddenly able, like all other language communities, to look at itself and communicate with itself. That's the Anglophone, the English-speaking world, like never before, thanks to the internet. But also because of the internet and because of computer technologies, the whole world all language communities in the whole world, the whole planet Earth, can communicate like never before with translation technology, which probably makes short argument of exactly why the English-speaking world, specifically the world that can speak English, isn't really doing so well at the moment. And the English-speaking world has its roots at the same place as the island union of Great Britain, which is a united kingdom, which is fundamentally monarchical in nature in the early modern, in around Shakespeare's day, around Elizabeth I's time, the British state and the English-speaking world as we know it. And to develop the kind of national models, the kind of national culture, the kind of seminal Anglophone culture that is appropriate going forward for future generations to inherit in the 21st and 22nd centuries. We need to ease off the violence, ease off the force, ease off the supremacism, ease off the my way or the highway kind of attitude, and become more open to reasoned debate, democracy, conversation, and consent, which is the conversation going on in America and on the continent, where they had, of course, the French Revolution, the American War of Independence, which were both in many ways at odds with the culture of the British Empire, sometimes explicit, in some ways explicitly so. Literal war between those two cultures. And we need to set off on the right foot in our journey towards rejoining the EU and becoming part of that grown-up conversation again. And that's not as a monolithic, totalitarian, totalizing kind of, we're the best, we speak for everybody, our ancestors beat up your ancestors, so we have the right to speak for you, kind of a attitude. We need to say, okay, you're the Scottish people, you have your own authentic identity, you have your own national interest, you have your own relationship with the world, you have your own language and historical culture, native traditions, just like us, the London-centric, the England, where London is the capital. And we have plenty of common ground now. We've developed plenty of political inroads and commonalities. We speak the same languages. We have the same technologies and means of production and opportunities. And we just need to make some theoretical adjustments, some socio-political adjustments, some constitutional amendments to the way we do things and approach things going forward. And I believe that it's imperative that as a part of that, we reverse back out of the island union, the four-nation island union of Great Britain, in order to reorient the four distinct, legitimately distinctive and separate nations of United Ireland, independent Scotland, independent Wales, and a Republican England, if not only in name, in order to negotiate a position over the next couple of decades, probably, of appetizingly rejoining the European Union, joining the European Union, and not being so Europhobic in this country, with the historical baggage of the Roman landings and the Norman conquest and the Germans. Tommy, the historical baggage, the emotionally charged historical baggage of being part of this island nation on the western fringes of Europe that looks to the continent with some inferiority complex and some suspicion and some paranoia and some resentment. But actually realizing once and for all and making real for ourselves that England and English culture is a powerhouse. This is a much sought after regional territory as part of these islands, because it was very hard to invade. It's not so hard anymore because we have aeronautics now. We can invade by sky, so it's not as hard anymore. We're not facing the Spanish Armada anymore. But as luck would have it, we seem to have timed the development of the aeronautics industry and the arrival of aeroplanes to coincide with a more genteel, a more philosophical kind of political approach. And we need to welcome that with open arms. We need to get on board with that and accept culture, not be Philistines, but accept the attractiveness of maturity, of development, of going forward, of improving things wherever we can. And there's an old English saying, isn't there, that there's always room for improvement. So no matter how good you are or think you are, there's always a way you can make yourself better. And we don't need to be pulling up the drawbridge and beating our chests and banging our drums and doing a show of power and a united front and trooping the colours. We don't need to be doing all that. We need to be toning it down a bit, being modest and humble, sobering up a little bit probably too, and making way for the world and for the future, for a united planet Earth and for an international community, and for the kind of socio-political norms, i.e. not drunkenness, not egotism, not we're better than everyone because we say so, and whoever doesn't like that, let's have a fight about it. But not with guns, because that's like grown up and serious. That's like actual war. We just want to engage in this sort of petty, scuffling, in the car park, little boy, kind of pretending he's a man kind of a war. British bulldog spirit. So instead, let's engage with the real volatile situation and the real hostile natives of the British state, and try and calmly and cautiously, carefully separate those four nations in a way that's respectful of their four distinctive characters and their future as part of the EU, and get rid of the monarchy, abolish the monarchy, get rid of this sick, twisted idea that one family is better than all other families and they have all other families' best interests at heart and they're all really wise and really kind because of Henry VIII being their ancestor. Let's get rid of this insulting, evil fairy story, this wicked stepmother story, this bullshit of monarchy, and the British state that's tied up with it. Because where there may have been historical excuses for it to secure the territory and beat back the Celtic fringe and develop a monolingual community for trade or for democracy to develop once upon a time, it's just not there anymore. And we need to be making real readjustments with a sober and egalitarian outlook going forward. So let's talk about and think about the real dilemma. That's not the sham dilemma of communism and capitalism that's just distracting us from these sort of serious works to be done. The real dilemma of the British state, the island union, and monarchy, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. And think about finding the kind of people that can get rid of those things. Think about the kind of people that can conceive of getting rid of those things, just as once upon a time there were the kind of people around who could conceive of creating them and instilling them in all of our minds, so much so that we think of it as natural and part of our DNA. Have a nice day and good luck with that.